So eicha perek dalid. So again, it starts with eicha, and that's been the beginning of perek 1 and 2 and 4. 3 was aniyah gever, but this is 4. And again, the word eicha might mean alas, or it means how. How did it come to be such a thing? And it goes in the order of the aleph beis, and again, it's going to be with the exception of pei goes before ayin. So it starts eicha yuam zahav yishna kesef hatov. Alas, or how. The word yuam is to be dimmed. How has the gold become dimmed? It's going to say soon in Pasuk 2 that who's the gold? That's going to be the people of Yerushalayim. It's called the Bnei Tzion. They're the ones who are the gold. How has the gold become dimmed? Yishnei hakesem hatov. Kesem is also another name for gold, something, a certain kind of a gold. So how did it change? The word yishnei is like how hishtaneh. How did it change? How has the good gold changed? Right. The holy stones are spilled out, like strewn about, and all in the public in all the markets. Berosh kol chutzos, like openly in all the marketplaces. You have holy stones, avnei kodesh, that are strewn about in the marketplace. Pasuk 2. Bnei Tzion hayikomim hamasulaim bapaz echon nechshevu lenidei cheres maaseh yedei yotzer. The precious people of Zion, the precious sons of Zion, that are praised or elevated with gold. Mesulaim, some say like meromam, they are elevated or praised, maybe as gold. Puz is another word name for gold, or a certain kind of a gold. How would these precious Bnei Tzion that were compared to gold, how are they compared to nivlei cheres? Nevel is a jug. Cheres is an earthen jug. Masei yedei yotzer, the handiwork of a potter. I mean, something that you just throw down and it's worthless. How would these precious golden vessels now considered just like pottery? Gam tanim cholz, or this says in the side tanim, means it's a Korean ksiv. Gam tanim cholz ushad heiniku gurehen. But bas ami la'achzor kayenim b'amidbor. Even the tanim, that would mean the jackals, which is considered a cruel animal. Gam tanim chol sushad, einiku gurehen. Even these jackals that are considered cruel, but they also reveal their breast in order to nurse their cubs. But my people, they have become so cruel, it's saying sarcastically, like the ostriches in the desert. So I don't know anything about this ostrich, Ya'ain, Kaya'inim, Ya'ain, Bas Ya'ana. But they're considered cruel. They're considered even more cruel. I don't know, and they don't seem to. I don't know what it says. They don't take care of their young. I don't know the mashal, but the nimshal is to say that Am Yisrael, they became even more cruel than these animal of a tanim, because they're not taking care of their children. They didn't take care of their children because they don't have any food. There was a famine. They're saying sarcastically that they became cruel on their children. The point is to say that they didn't have any food to give their young.
Tanim, you say, is a jackal, not a crocodile or a serpent?
A tanin, the way it says it in the pasuk with a nun, would be some kind of a serpent, but it says on the side the Korean ksiv tanim. So tanim is a plural of the word tan. A tan is a jackal. Tanim are jackals. Tanin would be plural taninim. The single one is called a tanin. Here you have a plural of tanim, and the single one is called a tan. They call it today also in Hebrew. It's also called today. The jackals are called tanim.
What is the jackal?
Anybody know? I heard it's like it looks
some
like
kind of like a desert
dog or something like that. They howl when you go in these places and you should in when you hear howling by the night.
Yeah.
A lot of animals howling. That's what they are. Those are the tanin.
I have here in terms of the ostrich, it has a pasuk from Eve that says she is hardened against her young ones as if they were not hers.
Which pasuk is that? That's interesting.
39:16.
Job 39:16. Thank you.
We have large legs or large eggs.
What? It has the largest eggs. Is that what you asked?
Legs.
I don't know what it looks like, the ostrich.
Yeah.
It's the biggest bird. It doesn't really fly, but it's a bird,
It runs.
and
It runs
and
fast.
it has the biggest egg.
It has a long neck, long legs.
Yeah, and a big body.
It doesn't fly?
No, it kind of like jumps off the ground, but it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't really fly. But it is a bird, and apparently it doesn't. It's cruel to
It doesn't
its
have wings, it's just
young.
fluff.
Hmm.
It doesn't have wings.
It has wings.
That's-
An ostrich
that's-
has wings.
But it doesn't fly.
Yeah, but
It uses the wings to balance itself. It uses it to balance itself
To balance
as it's
it.
running, and
Because
how to
it has
make
a big body
how it
and
makes
not
the
big
turn.
wings.
How it makes the turns. Also, it's running very fast. It's a very fast runner. So it uses its wings to be able. It doesn't fly. But there doesn't say the word Basyan over there. It says in Eov, we have a reference from Levi Yaakov to Eov 39:16. Over there, it starts in Pasuk 13, and it says Knafrin Anim Nalasa. That's the question. It's talking about a peacock or it's talking about an ostrich. It doesn't say the word ostrich. And over there, the point is that it leaves its eggs and it leaves its eggs in a
It
way
leaves its
that
eggs, doesn't
not-
sit
it
on
doesn't
them.
sit on them. So that's considered like it's
Cruel.
cruel. But the eggs hatch also. So I don't know why that's called a cruelty. Over there, the point is saying that it
Because
just
Hashem made it
leaves
that
its,
way.
it just but is that
Because
called
when
a
we look
cruelty?
at it, and we can
Mhm.
attribute a cruelty.
The
because it's
fact
not
that it
taking
doesn't take care of it, even though there's nothing to take care of it. Like it says over there that it leaves its eggs on the floor and it gets heated from the ground. And he forgot, Kielitz forgot that people are going to trample it, and the animals are going to come, and it just hardens its heart as if it's not its own children.
Whereas we don't say that with fish. Don't fish lay eggs and they then they
They
don't deal
don't
with
take
it.
it. I don't know. It says that as if to say that Hashem took away its wisdom and didn't give it bina.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure it's talking about ostrich because it does talk about
It
afterwards that
doesn't
it
use the word e.
doesn't say, and also it says afterwards that it flies up into the sky. So that's not a ostrich
It's
either.
not an ostrich.
So I don't know.
It
Okay.
just says compare, yeah.
Okay.
This is our-
So here it talks about Am Yisrael becoming cruel, and the point is that they don't have food for their young.
Puts its head in the sand.
Yeah, when it's hiding. Yes,
It has a big body.
it thinks it's hidden, yeah.
Pasuk 4. Tavak l'shon yoneg el chiko batzama. Ololim shalu lechem parei sein lahem. The yoneg, the suckling, he clung his tongue to his palate because of thirst. Means he didn't have anything to drink. So his tongue stuck to his palate. Ololim shalu lechem parei sein lahem. The young ones, they asked for bread, and there was nobody that would be able to stretch it out to them. The word pares means either to hand over or to slice. There's nobody to give them bread. They're starving. No, they're dying of thirst and starving, and they had nobody to give them any bread. So I think that's only sarcastic that the person calls them as if they're cruel. The parents weren't cruel; they just had nothing to give. But that's the point, that they became more cruel than the animals who do have food for their young. Pasuk 5. Those children that once upon a time they will be given ma'adanim, all kinds of delights, but now they became desolate in the markets. And those who were raised upon scarlet clothing, scarlet spreads, the word tolah is like shni tolas. It's a scarlet colored wool. So those people who were raised, like the word omein is hadasah, those children who were raised upon chashava scarlet garments, now they were chibkuash batos. Now they were hugging the dung hills in their death. So it's comparing how they were rich and taken care of well when things were going well, but now that they came to such a famine, so now everything went against them.
When it says Tolas Bashani, I thought Shani was scarlet.
Goes together. Tolah Shani goes together.
Goes together, they're both.
The Tolah Shani. So they talk about it. The Tolah is the name of the worm that they extracted from, but
Okay,
you have the word Tolah also to mean the
scarlet.
same thing as the Shani. Tolah Shani. It goes together. Tolah Shani. Pasuk 6. The sin of my nation became bigger than the sin of Sodom. That means that from the punishment, he's not talking about the sin, he's talking about the punishment. If you see that this punishment of Am Yisrael at this time was so much more severe than how Sodom suffered. Sodom was overturned, but it says it turned over in a minute. First of all, that happened in a minute, in an instant. Sodom was overturned, and also nobody, no hands, no human hands came against it. In contrast, Am Yisrael now that it was a drawn out plague, suffering, that they were dying of famine. That's much more severe than Sodom that was overturned, and also that nobody had anything to do with it. Here you have the Goyim that were coming, and they were coming to kill Am Yisrael. So it seemed that the sin, the word Avon can either mean the sin or it means the punishment of the sin. But the point is, from the punishment, we could see that they got a much more severe punishment than the Sodom even. They're worse than Sodom. Pasuk 7. Saku nizirah mishaleg, sahu meichalav. Adu etzem ipninim sapir gizrasam. Here it's first describing how they were so pure before all this happened. So her Nazirim, those who were Nazirim. So some say that the word Nazirah has to do with Nazirim, like we know a Nazir. Some say that it means the officials are called Nazirim, like Lashon of a crown. So her royalty was purer than snow. Sahu mechalav, they were more white than milk. The word sahu is like tzacharos. You have Yoshvei al-Nadim that says over there, Rochim al-Sanos tzacharos. The tzaddik ches is something about white. So they were whiter than milk. Admu etzem ipninim, their color, the word etzem is a color. Like etzem hashamayim latohar. The word etzem means color. That their color was redder than penimim.
Admu.
What?
Admu means
red, redder. Like Odom. How do you translate?
I don't know, you're right. I thought it was similar to from the word
Adom. Adom is red. So they're redder than peninim. But what is peninim? So people translate peninim to mean pearls. Are pearls red?
Yes.
So we have rubies.
They're rubies, according to the English translation.
And rubies, they said it because it says there's something about red, right?
Yeah, because that moved.
But really, we always know through payment to be pearls.
So that's the question, if that's true. Is it true that penin is a pearl? Are they reddish, pinkish pearls? There are pinkish pearls also, right? Is that not true?
Pinkish, they're red.
There are red pearls.
They're
There are
black
red
pearls. Yeah,
It's naturally red, right?
yes,
it's
and they're
natural.
black pearls.
So okay, maybe maybe it is a pearl and there are
Red
reddish pearls.
Reddish pearls.
I wrote down a pshat. I wrote down a translation. I don't know where I got it from. Agatte. That's kind of a stone. Agate. Anybody knows about that? Agatte.
One could check up on Google.
Is that some kind of a stone? That's a red stone. Okay, but there's something. But they were redder than, it means beautiful. The beauty. They're talking about that they were whiter than snow, redder than peninim. Sapir gives rasam. Their cut. That means their form was like that of sapir. Sapir is sapphire.
So the Nazir qualities, yeah.
Yeah. So what we said a few pshat. What does the word Nazir mean? Either means Nazir, or it means the royalty, Lashon of Nezer, like a crown. Yes.
The Gazratan.
Gizra, they're
I'm talking about the people, not the sapphire.
Right. No, the sapphire, their cut, their form was like that of a sapphire. I guess when you cut a sapphire, it's
No, but it's not this cut of the sapphire. You're saying that is the form, their form, meaning these men.
Right. Were like that
Their
of a sapphire.
form was that like of a beautiful sapphire.
Right.
Not
right.
that it's not like a cut. They were like a cut sapphire.
Right.
Okay.
Gizra Sam is the going on the people.
Okay.
So that was talking about that. Why was it in the old before all this sorrows came about? So that's what they were. They were whiter than snow, redder than admit. But so far the Ram al Atzmom Yadei Shayach Ba'is. But now they're
darkened.
Their Torah, their word, their what? Their figure, Torah. I was to say Torah, Torah. Their
Where are you getting to?
the third word. Chashach mishachor. Shchor is suit.
Oh, Taram.
Well, how do they translate that word Torah?
Tohar we say is like an adjective now, right?
Their Torah. Their Torah. Is that their form, appearance, okay? Like Tov Torah Ma'od, Yifei Torah, Yifei Mareh. The way it also has to do, usually has to do with the form also, not the appearance as the color. Like you say, Yifei Torah, Yifei Mareh. There's a Mareh and there's a Torah. Torah is usually the form. When you see something beautiful, it's called the Torah.
From the word or, it's more like it's their low.
I don't think so.
No, because the toughest part of the shores.
Yifei Torah, Yifei Mara.
Yeah,
There's a
no,
Mara, there's a
no,
Mara.
no,
You're saying what a Mara is, but the word Torah is something else.
Excuse me, I mean, Choshech usually refers to like dark, Choshech, right?
Yeah, so it says that they're
Shachar is dark, is black also.
Chashachiyah means black.
Yeah.
They were blacker than soot. Chashach mishchor Torah. Their Torah became blacker than soot. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the Torah soot.
Soot.
Shchor is soot. Soot.
S-O-O.
Suits.
I'm sorry.
S-O-O-T.
I just got it from the spelling it. Shchor is soot. Shchor.
That's just black.
Shchor, not shchor, shchor.
Choshech
translation
Mishchor.
is cold.
Torah. The Torah became darker than shchor. And shchor is soot, not just the color black. There's something called shchor.
I thought Shachar is black.
But shchor is soot.
It's also,
It's probably called that because it's probably black, right? It's probably called that because it is black.
It's black.
We can look for other
He's
words over
saying, no,
there.
he's saying it with the shva, it's a different word.
Shachar is black. Shachar is suit. It becomes a noun.
the translation in this book
Gosh,
is
I'm gonna take a bottle of water with this.
Now are we looking over here? So this one. Let's go back and try to find it together. So it's not going yet.
This is cool.
We'll try again.
What?
Exegesis.
Some might say pitbull, I don't know.
Let's see the word shachor in the rest of the Tanakh alone.
Let's see if it
No,
says
there's
that.
only one place,
What
Meshachor.
commentary are you looking at there?
I'm not even looking at kind of. There
Oh,
is.
you're not looking at it.
Christ-
What is it?
It's Christ- the Christ God is not-
Oh, Mikros Gedolos. It's extremely small, I see. Okay, this is 8.
Let's see, shachor.
It says here that it comes from, the translation follows a midrash, but it doesn't say which midrash.
Here Rashi says shachor pecham. Rashi shachor pecham.
yeah, cold.
Cold.
By the way, my translation, I was gonna say it's cold. It's cold. So
Here it says also,
That's-
even as maybe says like you, they says Yosem and Ashachros. Maybe he's come to say that it means just black.
Black
Maybe
than black.
It's blacker than black.
blacker than black. That's a little hard.
Choshech Bafei. That's right.
The Hushain, what does that mean? The Husham? The Hushain?
It's a noun.
Oh, it's a noun. And it's a noun. Well, that's what we're saying.
Now it's like a cold.
No,
Or
but-
maybe soot.
But he's saying even if it means black, it means a black. It's blacker than a black.
Where would, let's look at the Radak over here, if we can find him. Shachor. Let's see, Radak over here. Shin. Shin Ches. Resh. I don't know what he's saying.
it's pretty long. What is it?
On the Shin Ches Resh, the Radak, on the word Shin Ches Resh. Yes, Shachar also, he has other names over there.
Very long.
What does he say? Shchorani. He says, Ori Shachar. Okay, I don't know. Shchorani, B'nabo, Al Tiran Mishmei Shchachoros, V'chashem, V'chashach Mishachor Torah. He was Yoser Mishachor. HaShachor Hu HaPecham. He says the same thing. He says Shachor is Pecham. And he also says, I agree with the Chazal. He just says, that's not true, but the Chazal, and Gittin, Shabbos, it says, Bakol Kosfin, B'shichor, B'shichor, B'ashchor HaPecham, B'shichor HaKankantim. So he says that Chazal uses the word of
Anytime
Shchor.
it means
Chazal use the word Shchor.
for a coal, for a
for coal or, okay? So,
Wisconsin is the black
Coal.
color of ink of.
So we'll say
Like
coal.
rice,
Okay,
rice,
you're happy with that? Means
making the
coal.
rush.
Okay, further. Chashach mishchor. So first talks about how beautiful they were, and then I could say,
Yeah, can you close that door?
then it continues to say, pasuk, we're in 8. Chashach mishchor Torah, their Torah, their appearance, their form became darker than soot, or we'll say coals. Lo nikuba chutzos, they weren't recognizable in the market. When they went outside, they couldn't recognize them. Safad aromal atzmon, yavesh haya koetz. Their skin was safad on their bones. So what's the word safad mean? So there's no other place. There's no other place where it says the word safad. It's one of those ein
There's no
lochovers.
other place.
So how can you say? You're taking it from the context over here because we don't know. There's no other word that it says say tzadik pei dalet. So just from the context, whatever you can figure out. We had this recently in the Gemara. I don't know what. Because we look at here and we find that the first one always tell us that there's no other word, but we can look over here and put tzadik pei dalet, then it's not going to find it. Let's see. The Mepharshim usually they don't make mistakes with this, but now we have the computer, so we can also check it out. Tzadi, yeah, Tzadi, Pei, Dalid, and also allow for before and after.
Which of the people she said there's no other.
I can look it up again, but I just have it in my notes. Here it is, the one and
The
only.
one line.
Safad Aram Al Atzman. That's the only one. Didn't we have it just recently in the Gemara?
This
This
actual word?
pasuk? Yes, we brought this pasuk. Let's look in the Gemara a second.
I don't know about that small.
Super stuff. You don't know days. Here it is. It talks about here that there was a woman who was married and she didn't have any blood, and the husband thought that she's not a basula, and she told Rebbe, "I'm a basula." And there was a famine. The Rebbe saw that they were blackened. He told them that she said that they should go into the bathhouse, they should give them to eat and drink. And then he had a second time relations, and she had blood. And he said, "She's, so Rebbe said, enjoy your wife." And then it says, "Kol Rebbe Aleim Tzafad Aram Al Atzmam Yavesh Hayakaetz." He said this pasuk to say that Safad. So he wrote down this pasuk. What does Rashi say over here? Safad Aram. Might as well find Rashi. Oh, Rashi brings two pshatim. Look at that. Rashi says two pshatim with the word Safad. Donish and Menachem. These are the people that Rashi brings down. The Rishonim talked about that dictionaries. They made dictionaries. So Donish, I don't know how you pronounce it. So he said that it means davak oram. And Menachem says that it means shachar oram, that it means blackened. So I don't know.
One is Davak, what's the other one?
Shachar.
Black. It was black on their bones.
Their skin became black on their bones.
I don't know.
Grammarians.
So we can look at Rashi and Ksuba stuff. Yud Amid Beis. I'm sure Rashi is here also. Maybe it's different Rashi. It's probably not the same. They say it's not the same Rashi. But that's a nice Maramukim just to point out.
That's my question.
Their skin was stuck to their bones.
Yeah. And we're doing it very technically now. When we read the Psukkah, when you think about it, so it's very tragic. And that's what's supposed to get out of it. Lamenting, but just to get the translation. But after we finish, so personally, I'd like to read it on the road and to get engrossed in what the lamentation is saying. But let's get the translation first. Safad Aram Al Atzmam Yavesha Yakait. So we said the word Safad. There's no other place in Tanakh. From the context, it either means that it became stuck or blackened or increased, whatever you would imagine. Their skin became Safad on their bones. Yavesha Yakait. So it was dry like wood.
In terms of pictures from the Holocaust, we can
relate.
It seems like the Davak stuck to the bones.
Those who were slain by the sword were better than those that were slain by the famine, because the ones who were slain by the famine, they were oozing out as if they would have been stabbed from the Tnuva, so that from the produce
The lacking,
of the
he says in
field.
parentheses, lacking of the produce of the field.
So that's one possibility, because they didn't have any food, and therefore they were medukarim. They were yazuvim medukarim. So the question is, a person who is famine, is dying of famine, is that happen? That's what happens to him? That he starts oozing out. He starts yazuvim. Yazuvim means to flow.
Like a decker is a
Stabbed, to stab. Dukarim, somebody who is stabbed is called medukar. So that's when you're using it for the ground. And if you do it, so then it's also called something like a knife. Somebody who is pierced is called medukar. Dikira, the word dikira is used for stabbing nowadays. So now the question is that true? A person who's stabbed by a knife, so then yazubu, there's things that are flowing out from his body. But the person who's dying of a famine, is he flowing? Anything flowing? So the Mepharshim say about, I don't know if it's a Pasha Pshat, the Mepharshim say that they would be starving, and the enemy would roast meat outside the wall in order to make the fragrance go. Fragrance come and they would burst, their stomach would burst from the juices that would come into the stomach because they had the fragrance of the meat. So that's how they would burst open. So I don't know if that's Pasha Pshat, but it's saying, the Pasuk surely says that Chalaway better off than the Chalav. Those who died by the sword are better off than those who were slain by the famine. Pasuk 10.
Challah usually refers to like halal, but
Somebody who is slain.
it's like wasn't a hollow.
I don't think so. I don't think it has to do with the word halal. Over there means a dead person. It doesn't mean halal. Halal means the dead man. The halal is a dead man, a slain man.
So here you said challah,
And a person who's slain by the famine.
So maybe Kshem is Bukhara, those are the ones who were slain by the Cherith.
And Medukavim, so that who's worse off?
No, it's Challah Cherith, Challah Rav seems worse.
If it says Yazuvim Medukavim, if it's saying it's describing they're flowing, it's flowing whatever blood or out of their body. So it's coming to describe the agony of those that were slain by the sword. That's not good. The pasuk is coming to say that Chalei Rav are the ones who are worse off.
What's less to worse?
Sadai is a sadeh, the field. Sadai is poetic, and Tnuvos means the produce of the fields. So they say that those who were died by famine, they were as if they were pierced and flowing out of their bodies all kinds of whatever blood or juices, whatever it might be, because of the fragrance of the growth of the field. That's or the lack, or the Chaim David said the lack of food, because of the lack of food. The word chalal, to check out the word chalal a second.
I thought challah was like a corpse.
They said dead men.
Kima say chalal ba'adam. Adam chalal b'shivya. Abba Masayef chalal. Most of them are talking about people that are killed by the sword usually.
Yeah,
Or anybody that dies, maybe here you see
the
too.
sword sort of pierces them, causes a space within their body.
I don't know if it has to do with the word. I don't see the space over here.
No, I'm saying that's the Metzias.
I don't know if the word means space. I don't know. You're starting off with hanacha that it means space. I don't know that.
How? Halal. Halal.
And so
I'm saying I don't know if that's in the Tanakh. I don't know that word in Tanakh.
I always thought that's the connection. Slave
I said empty, maybe challah is empty.
You know, where do you see the word space in Tanakh? That's the question. If you see the word space in Tanakh,
We do use.
You're right. There's maybe I'm not sure. Let's see. So I don't know that if it means, maybe it means that he's dead. He's like his heart is dead.
Kill this day.
And mostly follow, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Probably
Could it be empty of an neshama?
I'm not sure if it means empty.
Mhm. He was a halal.
It says leave halal.
What does it mean? I'm not sure that it means
My heart is halal.
the first 12 days.
It's hollow.
I mean,
Empty. It means empty. But so I'm saying empty of an neshama could be why it's a dead person.
Oh.
You translate as the victims of yeah. Right, victims. In other words, they like their people. Oh, how they share and how they run.
Right. So here,
Yeah, he used the words victims and both.
I think the Pasuk of the means my heart is dead within me. And Rashi says, Rashi is Aramaic word. It seems that the word that it means hollow is Aramaic, and it's a drashmore to say that it means the Pasuk of the means that my heart is dead within me. I'm not sure if the Pasuk if the word hollow means
It's empty or dead.
I don't see the Mepharshim saying that it means hollow. It could be it's an Aramaic word to say that. Okay, the Pasuk continues. The word chilul means to profane. The word also can mean to profane, but I don't know if that's connected. Pasuk continues. The hands of compassionate women cooked their children. They became food for them in the breakage of my nation. Means that the word like Suda. So the verse means to eat. That's what they ate. They used that for a meal because of the breakage of my people, that there was no food. So that's what happened, that they ate their own children. Hashem destroyed, let out his anger. He poured out his wrath, and he ignited a fire in Zion, and it devoured its foundations. Pasuk Yud Beis. Lo aminu malchei yeretz kol yoshvei sevel ki yavod tzar bo'oyev b'sharei Yerushalayim. The kings of the earth, the kings of the land, did not believe, and all of the inhabitants of the world, that an enemy and a foe would come into the gates of Yerushalayim. Nobody believed that it would happen. But here says the reason why it happened is because of the sins of the false prophets, from the sins of the priests of the Kohanim, that spilled within it the blood of the tzaddikim. That's why these punishments came, because the Nevi'im, the Rishon, who were made themselves prophets, the false prophets, and the Kohanim, who were not really loyal, so they killed innocent people.
But the false prophet said everything's going to be okay.
I think so.
And that's considered killing them?
I don't know. It could be that they also killed.
They killed people too.
Maybe actually. Maybe. Pasuk 14. It means the people of power. The Nevi'im and the Kohanim became people of power when they did what they needed to, according to
the prophets and the priests.
Now, bachutzos alu badam v'lo yichlu yegu b'levushehem. Na'u is to wander. They wandered as blind. Na'u, like no banot. Na'u ivrim. They wandered like blind in the markets. Nego alu badam. They were
like blind.
Dirty. Even yes, like the blind. Nego alu badam. They were dirtied with blood. Means that there were people all around them. When people went in the streets, they were wandering like the blind. They didn't know where they're going, and they became full of blood from the people that were dead around them. They were not. It was impossible that people should even touch their clothing. Other people weren't able to approach them. They became so dirtied with blood that people would not be able to touch them. Plus,
he said that they were actually blind people. He says the blind wandered through the street polluted with blood because they were knocking into.
Why were they blind?
There were blind people in the city. So it was a big city. And they didn't have,
So
helpers.
there's nothing to do with the tzaros of the Churban if they were blind people.
Yes, but they couldn't see where they were going. They would trip over.
That's what happens to people, even in the good times, if they're blind, they're blind. It sounds that something has something to do with the Churban happening. With the,
No,
Yeah.
because they
Because
couldn't
they
see
were-
where they were going. They ended up getting defiled with all the blood that had been
could
spilled.
be. But there's something, I think it's
That's-
simple.
that's
Why the first
Rashi.
say that it means that as if they were blind. Na'u ke'ivrim.
Uh,
But not, he says very clearly in the Parusha that there's such a lot of slaughter by the Babylonians that the streets were bloodied by people in blood that they couldn't help. And people are willing to help the blind, but they couldn't offer them any assistance.
Okay, whatever you prefer. I would prefer to say the pshat is that they were
They
like
blind. I think
Pasuk 15. Suru tamei karu lama. They people called out to them. Suru tamei. Suru tamei would be in quotations. People would call out to them. Suru tamei, like move away, you defiled one. Suru out to go. Move away, don't touch. Means the people, it might be the guy, whoever it might be, that they didn't want to get near the people that were so bloodied. So they said, move away, you defiled one. Do not touch. Ki natsu gam na'u. They say ki is like rather like fly away and wander away. The goyim said amongst themselves, they're not going to live amongst us anymore. This whole pasuk seems to be talking about this pasuk before, that the goyim, they were disgusted with the Jews, and they, even in the physicality of their bloody garments, they said, move away, don't touch us, and get out of here. And the goyim said amongst them, they said amongst the goyim that the Jews are not going to live amongst us anymore. Pasuk 16. They say the play means at the face of Hashem, but here it talks about a face of anger. The face of Hashem dispersed them, chilkam, divided them. Lo yasif labitam, he does not anymore look at them. The enemy did not what would the word to show favor. They didn't show any kind of kindness to the Kohanim or to the Zakanim. Did they not show any chen? Means that even when the enemy comes, sometimes the Chashuvim or the elders, so they show a little bit of compassion. But here it wasn't like that. Here, so was Zakanim lo chananu, that the enemy didn't show any kind of favoritism to whatever the word would be, any compassion to the Kohanim and the Zakanim.
like in Egypt, the Kohanim were
They were
respected.
some kind of respected. The other Mefarshim that say that the pasuk, end of the pasuk is saying the sin, because the Jews did not respect the Kohanim and the Zakanim, therefore they were punished, that Hashem was not looking at them. But it could be that's more of a drash to say that the pasuk is saying the sin. The pasuk would be that the enemies did not show any favoritism to the Kohanim and the Zakanim. Pasuk 17. Odeinu techlana inenu elazvosenu havel. We still, Odeinu is like a dying. Our eyes are still longing for our help, which is only Hevel. It means that there were some allies, Mitzrayim and Ashur, there were other allies that they're still hoping for. But with our hoping, we were hoping for a nation which is not able to help. Means, as a last resort, they were still hoping that the Goyim would help them, their allies, but we were hoping for something which is not going to help. Pasuk 18. They hunted our footsteps from being able to go in our streets. Means since we knew the enemy was all over, that they were lurking and trying to find anybody that's going in the streets, they were hunting our footsteps, and we weren't able to go into the squares. Our end became close. Our days are full because our end has come. Means we see that our end is near. Pasuk 19. Our pursuers were lighter than the eagles of the heaven. Means they swooped down to get us, and they were able to catch us. We weren't able to run away. Our pursuers were lighter than the eagles of the heaven. On the mountains, they chased after us, in the desert, they ambushed for us. Pasuk 20. Ruach Hapeinu Mashiach Adonai Elokad b'shchis osam, asher amanu b'tzilo nechye b'goyim. The breath of our nostril, the anointed one of Hashem, became trapped in their traps, caught in their traps. So who is this referring to? It's referring to some tzaddik. Some say it's referring
Usually
to.
this is the allusion to the Mashiach. Ruach Hapeinu Mashiach Hashem.
Why is that? Because in the Zmiris of Shabbos, but that wouldn't show. That's the Zmiris, they paraphrase Psukim for what they want to say. But here it seems like it's referring to Yoshiyahu. Yoshiyahu was a great tzaddik, and some say that the whole parak here is talking about Yoshiyahu. That some say the whole parak is the Medrash goes eicha Yuram Zahav. Everything's talking about Yoshiyahu. That he was a tzaddik, and people trusted that in his chus they're going to be saved. The spirit of our nostrils, the breath of our nostrils, the anointed one of Hashem, has become trapped in their traps.
And he
Caught
was
in their
from the
traps.
seed of David. So I mean, it fits a little bit that he was definitely in line with Mashiach.
Asher Amanu b'tzilo nechye. We had thought that we would live amongst the nations in his shade. It means in the shade of his protection, we'd be able to live in the Goyim, but it didn't work. 21. Sisi v'simchi bas Edom yosheves beretz utz. Kam alayich tavo kos tishkeri v'sesori. Rejoice, he's saying sarcastically, you bas Edom, the people of Edom, which is not the time of that's the problem here, that it's not talking about the first Churban Beis Hamikdash. That was not Edom, that was Bavel. So some will say that it's talking about the Bayesheni, some will say that the Edomim also came to join in when Bavel was destroying the first Beis Hamikdash. And the pasuk says, rejoice, you people of Edom, you who live in the land of Utz, because also upon you is going to come the cup. He's a cup of punishment. He's going to come to you also. Right now we're drinking the cup of punishment, but it's going to come to you also. So enjoy the time now, because it's only going to be short lasting, and you're going to be suffering the same way we. Tishkeri v'sesori, you're going to become drunk from that cup. It's a figurative. The cup of punishment is going to come upon you. You're going to become drunk from that also. V'sesori, they say you're going to vomit. Tishkeri v'sesori, you're going to drink and vomit from it. What do they say about Edom over here? 5. Rashi says it's referring to Edom and the Bayesheni. Ibn Ezra says this point that maybe they were helping out also at the time of the Churban Bayis Rishon. They were helping out the Bavlian. And the last pasuk of Perek 4, 22. Your sin is finished. The order of Sion means that the punishment is over and it's not going to happen anymore. Hashem is not going to increase anymore to exile. But you, Edom, Hashem is going to reckon your sin, and He's going to reveal your sin. The last paragraph is also 22 psukim, but it doesn't go with Aleph base, and it's pretty straightforward. So we can finish it now if we have time. But if the Rebbe has to leave, don't hold back. Pasuk 1. Remember Hashem, what has happened to us. Look and see our ridicule. Just to point out that the kinos in the beginning, the first kinos, it takes this pasuk, and at night, the nighttime kinos, it says each pasuk and it says a kino about it. It's on the same mishkal of all these psukim. Remember Hashem, what has happened to us. Look and see our ridicule. Pasuk 2. Our house, our nachla, our inheritance, our land has been given over to strangers, and our houses have been given over to nachrim, also a word for strangers. We have become like orphans without a father. Our mothers have become like widows. Our water we have drunk for money. Means that during the siege and the famine, even to get water, they had to pay all their money. And our wood also came for a price to get the basic necessities of life, water and wood. They had to pay for it. We were chased on our necks, and we became weary, and they did not. And we had no repairs. We had no repose. We had no peace. Mitzrayim nasanu yad Ashur l'zbo. We gave our hand for help to Ashur, and we gave to Mitzrayim. I'm sorry, we gave to Mitzrayim our hand. We stretched out our hand to Mitzrayim to help us, and we stretched out to Ashur to get some food, but they didn't. It's understood that they didn't. We tried to go to Mitzrayim and to Ashur for help, but they didn't help us. Our fathers have sinned and they are not here, but we are suffering their sins, the punishment of their sins. Slaves have ruled over us, and there's no way to get out of their hands. We can't get freed from their hands. In the danger of our lives, we went to get food. It means they had to go into sakana to try to get food because they were going to die anyway. So they tried to get food even at the risk of their life. Because of the sword that was in the midbar, so to try to get food and go out of the city was putting their life at risk. But they had to do it because they were going to die in the city anyway. Verse of 10, our skin has become heated up like an oven. The word nechmoru, kaf mem reish, is to get heated up. Our skin has become heated up like an oven because of the burning of the famine. The word zalafos is sometimes a storm, the storm of or the burning of the famine.
Because of fever.
Pasuk 11. They tortured women in Zion, which would mean like rape, and the Besulos in the cities of Yehuda, the Goyim, they tortured the women and the virgins. The officers were hung up by their hands. Some say that Biyadam means through the hands of those people that were torturing them. They Biyadam. Some say that some were held up by their own hands, hung up by their hands. Learn that though even the elders also were not glorified, means that they didn't show any kind of glory to the elders. The enemy attacked as a Canaan just like the young. The youth were carrying the millstones, and the youth were stumbling with the wood. Means that they were made to carry these heavy things, and either to carry it or to grind, to do for the enemy work, work for the enemy, and till they fell. The elders, they stopped, they were batel from the gate, means that's usually where they are, in the gate, in the chambers of where they lead the people. So they were no more zakated by the Shah, and the Bachurim, the youth, were stopped from their singing. Shavas Mesos Libenu Nepach Le'eva Mecholenu, the joy of our heart has stopped, Shavas, and our dancing has changed into mourning. Nafla Teres Rosheinu Oinu Lonu Kichatanu, the crown of our head has fallen. Woe to us that we have sinned. On this, the following, our heart is sick. On this, on the following, our eyes are darkened. On what? Because Har Zion is desolate and the foxes are going on it. The foxes, they go in desolate places. So the fact that Har Zion is Shamein and foxes are going over there, that's what sickens our heart. That's what darkens our eyes. You Hashem are forever, you live forever, your throne is for generation to generation. Why do you forget us for eternity and you forsake us for the length of days? Return us, Hashem, to you and we will return. Renew our days like that of old. Because if you have scorned us, but you have already been very angry at us, and the point is saying that you did so much anger to us, so now you have scorned us and angered us and be angry at us, so now bring us back and don't leave us forever. And the minute is to say the pasuk again, it's not the last pasuk, we go back and repeat it. There's
three almost merciful verses in the whole thing.
19,
20, and 21.
Or what?
I have a little glimpse of mercy, like prayers.
Is 18 the one that Rabbi Akiva used in the
Yes, it says so. I
think so.
I see it in my film tonight.
from this, that he got it from this
Yes.
lesson. Which is,
You should see the Gula Shlema, being Beis Hamikdash, the building of Yerushalayim, Bnei Tzion. Should all come back to their original glory.